if I was on mute. That's the most frequent, let's say, mistake since 2020, and I haven't yet learned. I'm a disaster. So sorry about that. I was just saying that yes, we are live, and we are talking about the Reply Sustainable Investment Challenge. It's a progress webinar. So either you're a replier or a student, it's the moment where you get a progress about the challenge itself. We comment a bit about the challenge. We comment a bit on how it's going, what you're trading, how the markets are going, and we have a very special guest doing so today and helping us to understand better how markets are moving. And is the time that you have is dedicated for you to ask questions to our speakers, of course. So as you can see, I'm not alone. I'm together with the Titanium team, and they will be here together with me to go in depth of the challenge. Okay, so just to let's say get a little bit acquainted with the challenge itself for those who might not be so let's say close to the topic. It's an online challenge. It's actually on for the third year in a row, and for the second time, it's about sustainability. We close the registration just Monday morning, and then from 3:30 p.m. CEST, you started trading. It will last 2 weeks, so you will have time until the 8th of April to place your trades and to try to find those companies, those ESG ratings that are most green. So those who are the best. So it's actually like last year, buy good, sell bad kind of thing. It's fully online, as I was mentioning. Of course, it's for free, and it's on challenges.reply.com. It's part of the Reply Challenges, which is a wider set of initiatives that we prepared and we are still preparing for young talents and for young professionals. And in this challenge in particular, you can pretend to actually invest $1 million. So it's trading. It's real-time trading on the US market, and for once you might feel like a millionaire because you actually have $1 million to invest by choosing Mind. And after we will get back to this point more in deep. You have to invest them though with ESG in mind. It's of course not just for fun. It's also for fun, but there is a lot to learn. And this year we have almost 14,000 people registered. So it's a great success again. We thank you for being with us again this year. So in so many, we have 95 countries present in the competition, and just like last year, and just like all the Reply Challenges, we have a big audience made of students. So 64% of the people that are playing on the challenge and that have registered are from universities mainly. As you can see, most of them are very, very young, from 14 to 24 years old. So I can say that, yeah, actually talents are really, the young talents are really the focus of this challenge. So I was just mentioning that you might be already an expert in the financial world, in the investment sector, but you can still learn, and you can learn through the materials that we have developed with our partners. Together with us, it's the third year in a row that Banca Generali is supporting us, both for the challenge itself and for the materials. So we can can see, you will see in a couple of minutes that they actually support us also with knowledge based material. And of course, we also have a Main Street partners that have given us their ESG ratings. CFA Society Italy and MIP also helped a lot and are still helping us in providing let's say new stuff for the learning section. And investing.com this year, it's actually a media partner of ours. So a big thank you from our side to all of our partners. And I think we can move on and we can see what you're playing for, because as I was mentioning, learning is a key part of this process. All challenges are made for you to learn, but at the end of the day, we know you do it also for the prizes, which are kind of nice. So if you get on the leaderboard and you'll be first place, you will win a MacBook Pro. If you're second, an iPad Air, and if you're third, a pair of AirPods Pro. So the prizes are kind of nice, and of course I hope you'll be the one winning them, but I think you might keep on listening to us, so that you can especially today, you can maybe get some hints, you can get some suggestion from our titanium, and you can even get better, and you can climb the leaderboard a little bit more. Going to the next slide, I mentioned it a lot. Learning is key. Learning is a big part of what Reply does for repliers, and it's also what we try to do on challenges, on Reply challenges. We prepared with the Titanium team, not just the challenge itself in terms of rules and game mechanism and algorithm, how to weight the ESG and the trading you're making. We actually asked them, so our experts in Reply, to help us prepare some video materials. You can find 4 videos, for how-to videos made from them, by them. They prepared everything, the script, the recording. It's all made by them, and they tried explaining you, we hope in the best most effective way possible, how to win the challenge. So how to play it, how to use the trading platform, and how to get acquainted with the most basic financial tools. So again, even if you're not an expert trader, just go on the learning section. It's full of materials. Just last week we updated it even more with some more videos from CFA Society Italy. So just go there and have a look. I was mentioning at the very beginning that it's for the second time in a row all about sustainability, all about trying to scout out there which are the assets and the companies that are the greenest, and by doing so, this year we went zero impact. So this year, together with LifeGate, which is an organization well known, especially in Italy, we decided to have a zero negative impact by basically making sure that all our CO2 emissions were going to zero, and also the Reply Sustainable Challenge. So it's as green as possible, let's say. All right, so let's move to the next appointment. So today, as I was mentioning, you have some time together with our Titanium team, and with, I'm already spoiling it, with Maria Grazia Dostena from Banca Generali. But next appointment will be on 8th of April. It will be actually a quite nice appointment, I guess. I hope so, because we will be not not, I mean, we will be live streaming, so you can connect from all over the world and follow our webinar. But we will be in MIP Politecnico di Milano, so we will be together with students finally after 2 tough years. So you can actually connect on challenges.reply.com, or you can meet us there physically at the end of the webinar. I will remind you again, but we actually made some space, so for up to 50 people it will be possible to register. We'll give you more information at the end, and to be there with us and with our lovely speakers next week on Friday, the final day of the challenge. Okay, so I think that we can move maybe to meeting all the people that we have today with us, because these stats maybe we can go more in depth with Davide in a bit. So what we can do is to actually welcome all our speakers today. So welcome Mattia, Davide, welcome Maria Grazia Dostena from Banca Generali, welcome to Paolo, our coach, Emilio, and Oksana. Make sure you unmute yourself, guys, because I've already made that mistakes. So make sure you play good. Let's say, okay. So I would start actually with Davide with the stats, if you'd like. Each of us will tell us a bit about what they're most expert on. So Davide, do you want to comment a bit the slide that we were seeing before?
Yes, thank you, Valentina. If we can come back to that slide and see some numbers, it's been an interesting beginning of the challenge so far. As you can see, we have a lot of transactions. We are in the realm of 17,000 transactions so far. And it's not only the quantity, but also the quality, because you can see there are two indicators that we are really proud of. The first one is the profit and loss. And the profit and loss has been a positive indicator for an overwhelming majority of our participants. Yes, the markets have been at least favorable in the last couple of days. That it's true. But also it's reflected on your stock picking and experience in choosing the best assets for you. Also, you have to consider this second indicator that is really important for us, that we introduced last year with the first Sustainable Investment Challenge. That is the Buy Good and Sell Bad Index. We will explain a little bit better later what it is and why it is important for us. But in a short summary, it is how much better you're doing against the market, not only on returns, but on ESGs. So if you are choosing the better ESGs company rated, this indicator, this index is going to go up, otherwise it's going to go down, and 12% is a fairly a good indicator so far. So we are proud because it means that yes, you are investing profitably, but you also considering the ESG aspect, which is key to our challenges. You will discover better in the algorithm overview that is following.
Yeah. So basically, they're doing good. They're
Doing good so far.
So far so good, let's say.
Yeah.
And actually, the buy good sell bad index, it's a little bit better compared to last week, because it's just the second day. So we have time to see whether they keep on going in the right direction. And you were actually mentioning already some rules. We already started saying that it's not just about trading, it's about taking in consideration other mechanisms. So maybe we can go to Paolo, our coach since 3 years in a row as well. Maybe Paolo, you can tell us more about the leaderboard. We get a lot of questions from the players about the leaderboard, and you can get us an algorithm overview maybe.
Yeah, thank you, Valentina. Actually, I'm not going into the details of the algorithm. I will leave this for a minute later down the road. What is important is that the leaderboard is calculated starting from the overall position. The overall position, as we said in the very beginning, and as it's stated in the different documents we shared with the participants, it's based on an algorithm that takes into consideration not only profit and loss. Of course, there's profit and loss, but not only profit and loss, but also all the ESG components, as we said in the very beginning, and as it is stated in the name of this challenge. We are talking about sustainability. Sustainability comes into the core of the algorithm for the leaderboard and position calculation. So the more you are investing in sustainable, by sustainable we mean ESG, sustainable stocks or securities, the more you are going to be prized in your leaderboard. So this is true for the capital gain and for the amount you're investing. Also, for apart from the duration of your investment, how this is calculated, it's something that I leave to Emilio for a quick explanation, just for the sake of clarity for all the participants.
Thank you, Paolo. Thank you. Hi, all. So I can see that there are a lot of comments I have to say about how this algorithm is working. So I would like to share my screen in order to go deep on how we evaluate your portfolios, so the portfolios of the players. So let me share the screen. Okay, only a little bit. Okay, perfect. So please tell me if you're able to see the screen.
Yes,
Yep.
we are, Emilio.
Yep.
Okay. The algorithm is, I have to say, is really, really simple. Why I'm saying that? Because we have two main points to be focused on. The first is the invested counter value. The second is the profit and loss, of course, with dividends. On that two components, we are taking some bonus and or malus considering the ESG rating, and in case of the invested counter value, also the detention days value. So how many days you are taking your counter value invested on during the challenge. Why we are doing that? Because of course there are a lot of products. There are about 1,000 and more of stocks and ETFs, bonds and options, and that products have different ESG ratings, and we are going to evaluate your investment, so your choices, considering the rating of the companies you are investing on, and of course considering how much, as I said before, for how many days you are taking these investments. This year also the profit and loss and dividends part is really important, because we are taking a coefficient, so a bonus malus also on the profit and loss, that as I have seen in the comments is really, really a bonus that can change your portfolio ranking, so your global player ranking value, so the one you are seeing on the dashboard, on the reply dashboard. Of course, what is important, I have to say, is to help all the guys, all the players that are with us today, is fundamental to not invest on products outside the whitelist. So the ones that you know, because are reported in the terms and condition. Why this is important? Because if you invest on the products out of the whitelist, you will be only penalized. So is more difficult to win if you take this way of making your challenge. On the other hand, if you invest on the ESG rating, you are able, studying the material, the annual report, all the material that our team have developed to help you understanding what are the ESG parameters. For example, of course, you are able to intercept the best ESG companies in taking really a good bonus on that investments. And of course, the profit and loss components is doubled, as you can see. So I would only to tell you to invest, taking your investments for more days possible, and why not also taking a good profit and loss on that investments based on, of course, on the bonus malus that is reported on the slide. This is only an overview, but I would like to share with you in order to understand if we are all on the same line about this point. So I stop the sharing.
Yeah, I would say that we actually took the buy good, sell bad to the next level this year. So we even made it even more, let's say, important to do profitable but good choices. So
I agree with you, Valentina. I agree
they
with you.
really do to take that in consideration.
It's fundamental. It's fundamental.
And let's say that the challenge is about going on the trading platform and trade and try to be as profitable as possible. But on the reply challenges platform, we do have some suggestions for you, some daily hints that we do disclose. So I would pass the word to Oksana because she can tell us more about the storytelling and the learning, basically what you can still find while you're playing in the reply challenges platform.
Yeah, thanks, Valentina. So indeed, there is still a lot to discover on our challenges platform. So I would like to highlight that you still can use our learning section where you can learn a little bit more about bonds, equities, ETFs, and options. What we do with the storytelling team that each day at 8 in the morning, we receive the data from the trading platform and we analyze the performance and the investment choices made by you guys. Based on this analysis, we then see how the investment challenge is going, whether you invest in a good products and bad products, and we then prepare our hints. So for example, after the first day of trading, we saw that there was a company that was one of the top traded company by you guys, but the ESG score for this company was very bad. And as a result, to help you to be more effective in the challenge, as a hint for Tuesday, we put a small hint for this company stating that, guys, be careful, this might not be the good selection. And what we can see today when we analyze the result of Tuesday, that this company now moved down the leaderboard. So now it's not the most traded company anymore. What we also analyze is the positions that you guys do not trade at all. And we look at the non-traded positions by their ESG score. And we also provide the hints to you saying like, look at this company, or we send you an article stating that one company might be a bit more active in terms of ES or G or ESG in total. And we see that, for example, some people read our hints and highlights and already invested in the small tips, and we see how the performance of these people moves up. So I strongly recommend to follow our hints and highlight sections as we provide you really nice advices on how to build your strategy. And saying so, and is there is something that we see happens exactly the same way that happened last year already. People see the name green in company names and think that it means that the company should have a great ESG score. Unfortunately, it's not all gold that shines. So be careful. So even if the company names or the issue names have something with green or sustainable or something similar, please still check the ESG score. It doesn't mean that you will make a good investment.
Well, thank you, Oksana. I think that those who are watching and hearing us already got some good suggestions. So first of all, go back on the Reply Challenges platform and look for the hints, because as Oksana were saying, we actually based them a bit on markets, but also on what you're doing. So be careful to follow closely what she just shared. And then I would pass the word to Mattia, our ESG expert for today. So eyes and ears, of course, but Mattia, can you tell us a little bit more, maybe already some suggestion if you wish to give some to our players watching? What should they look for in ESG? What should they care about when looking for ESGs out there?
Ciao, Vale. Hi, everybody. First of all, I'm quite happy to say that it seems that the player don't need our suggestion, because if I'm not mistaken, nearly 70% of the position are now on securities that from the ESG standpoint is from good to excellent right now. So, okay, it's past 2 days, but so far so good, I would say. Maybe we can discuss about it later. Probably something that it could be worth to remark is that, as you probably know, we are not to make available to our player our ESG score provided by Main Street, but you can find lots of resources freely on the internet. I guess our player can follow 2 different approaches, or maybe also mixing them, like rely on ESG score provided by info providers that you can find on internet, or do it your private research, sustainability report or news. Keep in mind for the first approach that as far as we know now, there is no standard for info provider in order to come up with the score. So and the correlation also for this reason is quite low among the different ESG score. So probably you might go on average, don't rely on a single ESG risk or ESG score because you want to rely much on them. On the other end, if you're studying, so if you're analyzing the news or analyzing the sustainability report, keeping in mind that the relative importance of the 3 pillars that made up the ESG rating, so environmental, social, and governance, are truly and deeply linked to the industry of the company itself. For example, for an energy companies or utility companies, of course, the environmental part is the most important ones. Quite the opposite for a financial services company like a bank or like a financial institution, where the governance part is the most important. On the average, I would say the tech companies for which the environmental part and the social part are equally weighted, we can say. So keeping in mind that its own company, the own company has got their own risk and their own the own profile that you can find on the web. Don't rely too much on single source of truth. That would be my advice.
Thank you, Mattia. Thanks a lot. So you cannot have our secret recipe, which are the ESG from Main Street Partners. But again, Mattia was kind enough to give you some suggestion as well. I would now move to the market updates part, which for which we have Maria Grazia Dossena, Head of Market Strategy at Banca Generali, proudly with us for a third year in a row again. So a present that we always like to have in our webinars. who better than you can tell us and to the players how markets are moving, what's happening in the markets?
Okay, hello to everybody. Today I prepare for you a short presentation about the markets. First of all, in our global picture, I would like to show you what are the most important factors that are moving markets this week. Last month, at the start of the conflict, financial markets were driven only by the war, by the result of the war, and what was the relation to the war. Now that the days are coming, are following, the last 2 days, I believe that the markets were more focused on the developments of the peace negotiation. But also there is the investors are coming back to the fundamentals. In this chart, you can see in up right a chart where we put the PMI. PMI is Purchase Manager Index, is an index most important to forecast the future developments of economy. If the value of this index is higher than 50, it anticipates an increase development of the economy. If it is under 50, it means it anticipates a slowdown in the economy. What we are seeing at the moment, at the day, in the most countries, they are all these index are over 50. It means the economy will grow again in the futures, in the next months, and in the next years. But there are a small reduction due to the conflict. But this reduction is not very high. So also during the 2022, we expect a world GDP growth by 4%. Another aspect that now we don't care a lot is the COVID pandemic. It's not a problem at the moment in Europe or in US, but we have a large increase of this pandemic in China. So if you know, a large part of Shanghai is now closing lockdown, and it has some reflect some aspect on the market behavior. Now we start to look at the another important things that are market data. I said before that even if in the next days we will not have very important news from the war side or from the negotiation side, the most important factor will affect markets will be a macroeconomic data. And I put there what the most important economic data we will publish during this week. The most important one, and I believe for your trading, because we are trading on US stocks, will be on Friday, because there will be released the March employment report. We expect a positive result. Non-agricultural employees are expected to rise for a large amount, but at a level lower than in February, because there is a very full employment in the USA. In fact, the unemployment rate is expected to drop again to 3.7% from 3.8%, a very, very low level. And it means that we have a very strong labor market in the US. Connected to this, there could be an increase in hourly wages, so in inflation. So look at on Friday to this data. Now I would like to give a look to the financial markets, but I start from bond markets and not from equity markets. Why? Because it is important when you look at the markets to start with bonds, because interest rates are strictly connected with the value of equities. It's not the opposite. Because why? Because companies, corporates maybe have debts and they pay interest. If interest rates increase, they have to pay more for the money they receive. But the other important things are the value of an equity, a share, is the net present value of future cash flow of the company. And the net present value is calculated, apply an interest rate. The higher the interest rate, the lower the value of the equity. So it is a very strict connection. If you look at this one, this is the return of the most important total return indexes for bond markets. You see on the chart that we have positive result in the last, the result, the performance here are year to date, so starting from the beginning of the year, and 1 week. So it means that the last 5 trading days. If you look at the year-to-date performance, all the indexes are negative and very negative, because starting from the beginning of the year, there has been a very strong increase in interest rates in Europe, in US, and all over the world. But if you look at only to the last 5 days, we see quite a flat return for the governments, US governments, and a positive return for corporate investment grade yield in US. On the opposite, it means that the interest rates in US are increased a lot the last few months, but during the last week they decrease or they remain stable. On the opposite, we have negative results in Europe. It means that in Europe, interest rates are continuing to increase. Well, here we have also 2 important markets to look at: the markets of commodities, and here we have the price on the right. VTI is the price of oil, a strong increase from the beginning of the year and after the start of the war, but with a negative performance in the last 5 days. Gold is quite stable. And on the opposite, we have Forex market, mainly the value of US dollar against euro and against the most important currency of developed countries. And if you look at the result, you have a positive year-to-date return. It means that US dollar appreciated during the year, but in the last during the last week, it was quite flat. Sorry. If you would like to have to know how is the situation of bond markets around the world, only with a look, this is a picture that gives you your answer. So you have not to look at the numbers, only to the color. If you see green color, it means that the interest rate in that country, for that maturity, is positive. Instead, if you find red, it means that interest rates are still negative. Only at the starting of the year, we had quite most 0.5% of this page in red, with red numbers. Now it is quite all full of green. It means that interest rates are returning to be positive and are increasing. This is important to forecast the future behavior of equity market. And now we finish with the equity market. All equity market performance are quite negative year to date. They recovered the last week, and also during the last month after the big decrease at the starting of the war. Now the performance are quite the same that we had before the start of the conflict. Why they are negative? Because interest rates are rising, because we are living in a new environment of inflation. But if you look at the total return of the last week, we see positive return, mainly due to the performance of the last 2 days, the days when you started to play in this challenge. And you see, if you see the return, they are higher in US and lower in Europe, lower in emerging Asia, higher in MCI LATAM, so in Latin American markets. Important, the Standard & Poor's has a better performance year to date than NASDAQ. Why? Because NASDAQ is mainly composed by technical companies of tech, of IT and tech, and this has usually a sector called growth and strictly related to the value of interest rates. There is a big recovery in the last few days, and this is why we have a very strong performance of NASDAQ. But if you look the performance from the beginning of the year, it is one of the worst market in US. Now, the last but not least slides is about sectors. Maybe you can focus on Standard & Poor's 500 because I are trading on US equities. If you look at the performance starting from the year to date, it is the gray line, the gray. So the strong performer was the energy sector, and you know why? Because of the strong increase of the price of oil. But if you look at the performance of the last 5 days, you see a very different distribution, because we have the most increase in real estate, in infotech. So maybe usually in that sector that now already have the worst performance from the year to date. This means that there is some of balancings in the market, and at the moment there isn't a strong movement towards a specific sector, but quite a rebalancing from the very divergent performance we had in the past. I finished. I hope to have given you some ideas, some topics about financial markets. I am here to answer to any questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Maria Grazia. Yeah, it's very interesting. Thanks a lot for commenting with us all the market outlook. So guys, don't get fooled on Friday, although it's April's Fool. Make sure you follow Maria Grazia's hint. And I would actually move to the chat, because it's kind of on fire. We have some users that are commenting a lot. Already even answering among them. So Rudy, Elia, Alessandro, Abhishek, they're asking questions. And maybe we can start from one of the questions they were asking in the chat. I have some hard time understanding why have an overall time horizon of 2 weeks when ESG investments are usually more long term. So this is from Rudy Elia Lorini. I don't know if Mattia or Roxana or anybody else wants to take this one.
Yeah, sure. I will start, and Oksana can jump in whenever you want. I would reply to Rudy in two different ways. First of all, it's a trading challenge. It's also a learning opportunity. We do believe that if you are going to work in finance in the next, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, you will work with sustainability as well as fundamental in finance. So it's for learning purposes that we add also the sustainability in this part. We are perfectly aware that usually these kind of returns are not related to the trading approach, more to the investment approach, so medium to long term. We do believe that in the medium long term, probably the ESG stocks, the ESG securities in general, will overperform. And now, for investment funds, for example, there are already some data that has shown that the overperformance of sustainable funds is a reality. We have not in our challenge a medium long-term time horizon, so we have 2 weeks of challenges. So we have to come up with some ideas, and our ideas was the bonus-malus approach and mechanism that Paolo and Emilio told us before. So yeah, we are aware that that sustainability is more like an investment thing, it's not a trading thing, but you have to learn how to engage with sustainability, and then we have to play with it in 2 weeks. So that's why our bonus and malus.
Oksana, do you want to add something or?
Yeah, just a short question. Yes, indeed, it's opportunity to learn, but also when you work on financial market, even if you work with the long-term investments, you still monitor the market behavior. And this challenge gives you an opportunity in 2 weeks' time to monitor any expected shocks, like now with the war. So a lot of companies that originally had ESG rating might change due to their behavior on the market and the political arena. So this is actually the perfect time for the challenge to show how the market will impact even especially the ESG rating in terms of the S and G pillars. And secondly, it's also the challenge to get a deep understanding what exactly an ESG score and sustainability means. So just because it's long-term doesn't mean that on the short term you don't need to have a deep understanding of the reasons and of the key pillars.
Thank you, Oksana. I was going through the chat as it was actually quite active today. Users, so Alessandro, Jose, Abhishek, Rudy were already answering to each other. Actually, they were also mentioning at some point the white list. So maybe we can also spend one word on that, maybe with Emilio or Paolo, because some were talking about an ESG list. I guess PDF format, one Excel. They were already suggesting to each other which one was better, and we did made a broadcast message yesterday about one change on the whitelist that we published. So maybe one of you wants to take that a little further.
Yes, of course, Valentina. I have seen the comments, so I agree, of course, with the situation. We update the ESG list in order to be on the line with the market situation, of course, because the market changes, and so also our ESG changes. But of course, it's important that all the investments that you are making will be taken into consideration for the ranking. This is fundamental, because I can understand if you can think that some investments were pulled out of the rankings evaluation. This is not, of course. We will take every trade that you are making into consideration. As Mattia said before, we will evaluate them with the bonus malus logic in order to take the ESG component, of course, with our bonus and malus. I would like to remember you both the investment counter value, the invested counter value, and the profit and loss and dividends.
Thank you, Emilio. And there is also KS Padmavati asking if we have any recommended websites or sources for referencing ESG rating. Mattia, you're our ESG expert for today, so
Yeah,
it's yours.
we're a bit in conflict of interest to say that now. No, I'm joking. You can find plenty of ESG ratings on the internet. The most important rating agency focused on ESG have their own website that shown freely the rating of the companies. I'm thinking about MCI, I'm thinking about Sustainalytics. You can find something on Google Finance, Yahoo Finance. I mean, plenty of website, plenty of resources. Don't forget about also not the final ESG rating, but also the prep material that, by the way, also the rating agency uses in order to come up with the rating. So sustainability report that the big corp are obliged to do and to publish on an annual basis, and news that you can find on the internet. So
basically, yeah, exactly. You have to enjoy going through that jungle of information and finding the right ones. By the way, I was smiling because there was Abhishek asking if he will get an internship at our company if his return is more than 90% in this time frame. Abhishek, we actually do this as an employer branding initiative. So, of course, at the end of the challenge, you will be asked to make a report. The report will be read by Reply and Banca Generali, and if you're really, really good, I guess something might happen. Who knows? We cannot promise, but who knows? If you're so good. So actually, again, the chat is on fire. There is a question for Main Street. Actually, today we don't have a person from Main Street Partners, so there was a pretty focused question on ESG ratings and how they are built. I don't know if we can answer to that, but yeah, actually, that would be a question for Main Street, to be honest.
I can say yes. I know. Yes, Main Street penalized tobacco companies.
Okay, thank you, Maria Grazia. she knows very well the secret recipe, as you can see. Okay,
we give you this advice.
That's actually whoever of you is watching today. We gave pretty like a lot of advices. So this one is like just the last one from a huge list today. Alessandro is saying thank you, Maria Grazia, because he actually understood something more. Okay. All right. So. I would like also to say thank you to the guys that are watching us and asking questions. They're talking to each other, so it's nice to have been able to provide them this moment, so that they were actually able to get some real time feedbacks. Talking about real time, maybe Paolo, you want to to reply to the arbitrage question. I guess there was one question in the chat.
Yeah, it was related to the possibility to have an arbitrage return due to the delayed price. Actually, not. There's not, because you, even though you might see a delayed price in the platform, once you place your trade, the price of execution is the real-time price. So no way to arbitrage on the delayed price. Another thing I would like to add, Valentina, is related to one of the questions about the length of the overall challenge and the objectives of the challenge. Mattia perfectly explained the mechanisms and the reasons why. But also going to the question related to the possibility to getting hired by Reply if well performing in the challenge. The overall, I would say, the overall objective of this challenge is to, first of all, challenge our people, our students, in order to allow them to think. Don't rely simply on a list of ratings that you might find on the internet. Just ask yourself why sometimes ratings are different company to company, and why rating companies are providing different rates. So you need to deep dive into the single company you want to buy in order to be sure that you are correctly evaluating all the aspects. This is what the challenge is about. Think what you are doing, why you're doing that. And then the leaderboard will for sure take the responsibility to somehow transform this into your evaluation. So it's not only about looking at the chart and understanding what you want to buy, but the reason why you're doing that and building your strategy. Doing this for sure is giving you a long-term value, but can give you also a short-term result, which is what you are looking for in the overall challenge. So this is one of the value added of the challenge we are looking for.
Thank you very much for your wise words, Paolo. You're the coach, and there is a reason why. So our time is actually up. So unless we have further questions or further hints for the players, I would like to say thank you first of all to our speakers today. So to Maria Grazia Dossena, first of all, and then Paolo, Emilio, Oksana, of course, Davide and Mattia. I would like to wish good luck to all of our participants, and stay tuned for next webinar, which will be on 8th of April. We'll send a reminder to you all, of course, to all who registered to the challenge, and we'll also send you the invitation to come to MIP in Politecnico di Milano. For the Italians, of course, it will be much easier to join us for the closing webinar, where we will have our supporters, our sponsor, together with us, and we will wrap up this amazing Reply Sustainable Investment Challenge 2022. So thank you for watching, and see you on 8th of April. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Ciao.
Good luck.
Good luck.